Do you think women often tend to lose themselves in relationship?
But you got to find out the answer. Who am I first? I told myself that my dreams are.
People do see glamour, they don't see the waiting rooms, rejection, emails, or silence.
The struggle is real. Hard work, discipline, persistency. These are the things which actually I would be my own worst critique. It's not easy putting yourself out there and you don't get what you want. It breaks you. Once you get out of that comfort zone, listen to your own voice and learn to back yourself up, whether it's cricket, whether it's soccer, with the Women's Asian Cup. When I saw myself in the crown, I was like, of course, being an Indian, of course, I have to say Indians are the best. It's not just about food, it's also about our culture. Trust yourself. Something small to something big. It's never too late. Keep believing in yourself. Dream big, work hard, be consistent.
Welcome to another episode of RAWREAL podcast powered by Language Academy, where conversations are honest, stories are unfiltered, and growth begins with truth. Now, I've got someone with me today who's a special guest because it's a first female guest on our show. More importantly, she's someone who left comfort, she chose uncertainty, she chased art, identity, and purpose across countries, across roles, across expectations. An actress, a beauty queen, an immigrant building from scratch. But more than titles, she's a woman who refused to shrink. Welcome to the RAWREAL podcast, Simran Gulati.
Thank you so much, Maz. It's so lovely to be here. And thanks for that's a beautiful introduction. That's really great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Uh, Simran, before we start up this podcast, everything, we generally ask this question to every single guest. How's life going on?
How's life going on?
Yeah.
Challenging.
Yeah.
Always up to something good, something not so good. And right now, life is full of uncertainties because I just had my little one.
Okay.
So
See, that's
life
nice.
is really exciting, but I can't wait to get into it more with you.
That's nice. Interesting. Congrats for the baby, though.
Thank you.
Simran, before I would like to just go back into our past a bit more because before The Crown, before Australia, before Instagram, there was acting.
Yeah.
So would just like to know from you a bit of the back end story. How did this all begin?
Well, my journey has not been linear, as it's always been, uncertainty about, what's coming next. And a lot of people, especially, from the time I come, you don't know what you want to be.
Right.
But then suddenly you do know something that you've always been excited about. And for me, my journey pretty much started in the phase 2 of my life that I would call after being a mother.
Right.
And raising with the kids, I was like, okay, I need to get into something, like just being around the kids. It's always been like going back into my childhood. And I'm like, okay, this is what I wanted to be. And what I wanted to be was an actress because my love with Bollywood was just, something that fascinated me from the day I was like a little girl, watching those beautiful, vibrant colors and romance and glamour life. And I was like, okay, I want to be an actress one day. And that's it. Years later, I thought, I have to make my passion into reality. And here I am.
Nice, interesting. That's an interesting story. But also, I guess with what you said, it's a bit difficult, to balance things because a lot of people do feel that following passion doesn't always give you the sort of livelihood you want because there's a lot of uh, thought process behind the fact that, a lot of people have passion towards a lot of things, but they don't end up pursuing it because end of the day, they need to have a livelihood. So it's also something very challenging to follow your passion because you go all in towards it.
Yeah, for sure. So I think passion is something that gets you where you want to be, right? And it's never easy because passion is one thing, but having a dedication and a right mindset and the discipline, it's where it would what gets to you where you want to be, right? And there's a lot of stereotypes and a lot of pull-offs that
Right.
will have to like, okay, passion. It's not something that's going to make me money or it's not going to get me where I want to be. But, as long as you don't have, as long as you have that desire and that vibe and something that you want to create, because you just have to go for it.
Right.
And there's going to be a lot of pull-offs. There's going to be a lot of mental breakdowns and blocks where it can or cannot go. So passion is something that you need to have up to the limit where you can say, okay, I'm going to. And there's a lot of things that I'm doing in my life which is started with a passion, and now it's becoming into reality.
Okay,
You know,
interesting. I guess it also takes a lot of courage to follow your passion, because not a lot of people do have the courage to go all in towards your passion, because practicality and following your passion are two different things, because sometimes your passion might not work out into what you want, but end of the day, if you believe in yourself, I
that's
guess you go all in towards it.
believing in yourself is number one thing. And you're very right, Maz, because a lot of times you always set a hard, as a female as well, being here as a first female, we always have this thing that you have a life which is very traditional, where you're going to grow up, you're going to get married, you're going to have kids, and da 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 da,
Yeah.
and life goes on. But here we have this small mindset that that's what life is, but it's not. There's so much more that we can do, especially as a female. And I'm sure where we are standing and sitting right now, a lot of females, a lot of things are happening around us. Taking sports, for example, we have women in sports now.
Right.
And I pretty much hold that to my heart, because anything that women's involved, I'm very, very excited how they're, reaching to their heights and achieving things in life. So it's just a beginning, of what we have to see, but there's a lot that we still have to go ahead and
True.
see. So being a woman, in, especially when you have, studied and done everything, and here you are, you want to like achieve something more than just having a
Yeah.
baby and having
A
a
family.
family and everything, and having a supportive family is very important.
True.
Don't get me wrong. And you got to just believe in yourself that you want to do this and you can.
Nice, interesting. Yeah, I mean, like it's in this age, I guess women are doing a lot of great things, and we've seen a lot of strong women achieving a lot of strong things and a lot of good things
Yeah.
in this society. I mean, a lot of the big things happening right now in the world are being done by women. So we've come a long way in terms of where we see things. But one thing I'd love to know from you is, when we go back to the movie stuff and all that, especially in India, this is generally a thing which people believe is acting is called as a dream until someone succeeds. And if someone ends up succeeding, it's called as destiny. Do you relate with this?
Very, very true. That is so true. Um, I think, yes, you're right. Unless it becomes a success, you're not an actor,
Yeah.
for example, Um, and I think if I think of that in my context and put that into it, I feel that before I was doing what I'm doing now, which is acting, and I an entrepreneur and doing all these great stuff, I was not known for who I was. So you're really well said that till you succeed, until you actually have these all these accolades around you, it stands you with who you are.
True.
So yeah, I 100% agree with that. That's a really
Yeah, because I personally feel the same, where people generally do see the success when you are on the screen or when you're on the socials everywhere, but they don't see the back end struggles and everything, what you've gone through to reach wherever you are at this point of time. So I relate with the
with
same stuff too. One thing I'd like to know from you is, people do see glamour, they don't see the waiting rooms, rejection, emails, or silence. How do you handle rejections? Or have you learned it, or you're still learning the art?
lots of rejections.
Yeah.
Lots of rejections. It's the struggle is real.
Yeah.
Um and I'm coming up, I feel sometimes, if I'm putting my heart into this, it kind of take me to this space where, you have earned everything and you were not given anything. And that is pretty much what I feel, what people should remember me as, like I feel like hard work, discipline, um, persistency, these are the things which actually makes you who you are.
True.
And that's where I have been, I have, like I said, my journey has never been linear, but it's definitely been intentional. So, going from pageants to acting in Australia, every step has pretty much pushed me down. And, at the same time, it has given me growth as well, not just professionally, but also personally. So it's really, you got to see the bottom to see where you are at the high, and you have to clap yourself way through it and, enjoy those small wins.
True.
So lots of struggles and lots of rejections, and that's what makes you who you are. Because I'm a person who likes to, keep evolving myself. I'm not the person who would just, I got one rejection and I'm going to bend myself down and like stop trying, right? The whole point of the industry that we are in, and especially, I started my journey a little bit later. So, you already knew that you were up for struggles. It's just going to be uphill. It's not going to be easy. Nobody's going to come around and grab your finger and say, hey, you've got this and you've got that. So, in my journey, I've struggled a lot. There has been a lot of good opportunities, and you just got to know where it intersects and when is the right time to actually say, okay, this is my job. Sorry, this is my time, and this is what I've been waiting for. And you just got to be ready for that,
Yeah, true.
So even though all the rejections are happening and you might think you're not going anywhere, at the same time, you got to be like, okay, I just need to improve myself. Take a back seat, breathe in, take all this, things that you're backing you off, and just breathe in and just be ready for the right moment.
Absolutely.
And that right moment will come.
True. I completely agree with this too, because I feel it's always as a human, not only in this particular industry or in any phase,
Yeah.
life is all about ups and downs. We all go through highs, we all go through lows, but it's the step what you take after you face that low moment is what defines you as a
And
person.
there's no fun about that. There's
Yeah.
no fun then.
Right.
If there
Yeah.
aren't any lows and highs, then how are you going to actually, this the high stakes of feeling like that achievement?
Right. True.
It's going to be bigger than better.
Yeah, absolutely. If you've seen the lowest of lowest, then
Yeah.
you don't have to fear about the fact that you're going to
No.
see anything lower than that because you've already seen the lowest phase. So,
Yeah. And I love when people actually ask you, you got things very easy, or it's just you knew people and you probably just had the right thing, and that's what we think about Bollywood, or just in general about nepotism or whatever.
yeah,
But Maz, it's not that easy.
right. Everyone's got their own
Everyone's
way
got
of
a story.
struggles.
Yes.
Everyone's got a story. Since we've been speaking about acting and all this stuff, one thing I would like to know from you is, as an actor,
Yeah.
was there a situation that you ever broke, or if you were, what broke you the most?
Sorry, the question is what broke me, like some moment that broke me
Yeah, the
most.
moment you broke you the most. Was there any rejection, or was there any sort of thing that ever broke you the most?
Well, it's somebody who's gone through what I've, as an actor, as being in this industry, there is always something that breaks you down, you know. Um, I can't think of a moment where that something big like that actually happened, but in the day-to-day life, I think I would be my own worst critique, who holds myself to, like, you could have done this and you didn't do that.
Yeah.
I did this amazing audition or something like that, and I put everything into it. Why? Why? So, so being my worst critique, I think I am the only one that has actually put myself down in that sense, because you're just at that you're just at that note, right, of life where you are just doing everything. And it's like that breaks you. Like it breaks you as in, like, am I doing it right? Is this my path?
Right.
There is not physical or external influences that has to break you down. Sometimes I would say I'm lucky that I can't think of anything that actually broke me down, but I think there are phases and things that I've gone through that I put myself down because I was very hard on myself. And friends of mine who's listening today was like, you're too hard on yourself. So sometimes it's you as a person can
Yeah.
kind of break yourself down. And over time, you just have to say to yourself that you're enough and you're stronger than what you think.
True.
So physical and external influences don't really have to break you.
Break you down.
It's probably sometimes just yourself and your self-inflict that puts you down.
Just being harsh on yourself sometimes.
Which is, it happens to every one of us.
Yeah, but I feel like
Everyone.
with what you've said, I feel that if you feel that you've done everything that you feel was correct, and you feel that you've done the best that you could have done, then the result is something that's obviously not in your hands, because your job is to put in the best foot forward
Exactly.
and lead the rest to whatever destiny has to take care of, or the God has to take care of. But end of the day, you should be satisfied with what you've done. I guess that's what makes a difference.
100%. And and I have been in this industry for many years now. And how you started and what you become after many years is a completely different story.
Right.
So, as a starter, you're obviously struggling. You have so much dreams and you have so much expectations out of yourself that you break in that moment
Right.
daily.
Mm-hmm.
But when you do have those achievements and those things that you make over the years, which I would say I'm here and I'm still have a lot to go ahead, a lot to do and a lot to achieve. But you got to, and now I can easily look back and say, I broke myself. I was broken because every day I'm like, I have to put a smiley face. I have to do the work, get ready, get yourself sharp, get yourself in front of the camera. And I'm still doing that as of now. It's not easy putting yourself out there. And when you do and you don't get what you want, it breaks you.
Obviously, yeah.
So, and a lot of people fear putting themselves out there. And once you get out of that comfort zone, listen to your own voice or find a voice and learn to back yourself up.
Right.
Um, the world is your oyster.
True.
You can do a lot after that. So I think, it's more about starting from just that.
And I completely agree and relate to what you said, because just yesterday night I was watching, I don't know if you're aware of Samir Rai, another comedian, Samir. So I was just watching his show Still Alive, and he went through a big controversy last year in India where there was a lot of jokes with beer biceps, cracking some jokes and all that stuff. So everything went down. And this guy had a show in USA, and he was having 3 FIRs back in India. People were asking the police to bring him back to India, but he had a show the same day. Then he said that he had to put all this worries and whatever he's going through into his pack.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously he can't show that because as a stand-up comedian, he has to
Yes.
perform right in front of the audience. So if he is worried or scared, if it shows up on his face, then obviously people are not going to react to his jokes. So one thing what you said is something I believe is absolutely true. When you're especially in this field,
Yeah.
you can't showcase on your face what you're going through, because at the end of the day, it's your job to perform.
It is because that's an art of an we're an art we're at the end of the day we all are artists. We are given this skill, which is something that we were, born with. But at the same time, it's something that when you have that skill, you have as an artist, you have to put yourself out there. And there are a lot of times you have to, knock things out where what happening in your head. As an actor, for example, for me, you have to improvise. You have to kind of go into this visualized world, which is got to be greater than anything,
Yeah.
bigger and greater. So you have to deflate yourself, forget about what's going on, put a smiley face, and just go.
There you
And,
go.
and we do that as an actor every day as a human,
Yeah, true.
don't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
No matter what's happening in our
Right.
lives, we still have to wake up. We still have to go
Yeah.
into our jobs and any aspects of your life. So it's very important. It's not easy, but it's important.
Just in my previous episodes, one of my guests, Mr. Tawfiq,
Yeah.
he just delivered this beautiful line that as humans, we are acting every single day. We wake
Yes.
up and we act, because
It's
end of the
truly
day, we
said.
have to.
And he's a
do
dear
what we
friend
have
of
to.
mine, so I completely agree. And I heard him saying that as well. And that's not why I'm saying that. I'm just saying that from my own experience as
Yeah.
well, that it's so beautifully said, though, and I agree with it.
Because end of the day, whatever is going on in our own life,
Yeah,
we have to do what we have to.
we have
Well,
to do because
life has to go on.
yeah. And, we all have a purpose and we all have something that we have to give.
Mhm.
We just have to do it beautifully and remind each other that we're
Yeah.
doing good.
Now let's come on to something which happened with you, where something unexpected or expected, I'm not sure, you would have to tell us about it. Mrs. India Global happened.
Yes,
Would love to know how did this whole thing unfolded.
the journey started. Well, Mez, I think, you know, since I was a little girl, like I said, I was always in love with Bollywood. So for me, like, drama, colors, romance, glamour, it all came into it because I always wanted to be an actress.
Yeah.
So, I went back, I grew up, doing as anybody does, studying and, making sure you have the job and you're doing everything that your parents said and
Yeah.
everything. So with me, getting into the pageants was after I had kids,
Mm.
Like I said, learning, being with my kids, it made me think like, it took me back to my childhood,
Mm.
where I'm like, I have to follow my dreams. And that's where I told myself that my dreams are not done. I'm just starting. So that is where Simran, being who I am, like I said, I keep evolving myself, keep reinventing myself. I said, this is my time to live my dream. Um, because people usually think after having kids and life, your life ends. So my journey started at, like I said, phase 2 of my life, which was after being a mom. And all the struggles that I had to go through, where it's people's opinions, obviously fighting, a lot of weight that you gain after being pregnant, a lot of stigmatism that, life ends with it and all that stuff. So the journey was pretty much, I wanted to get back into what I like is my fashion and my lifestyle. And pageant was just an opening door to me,
Yeah.
which opened up, of course, a lot of things that I learned from there. So Mrs. India Global pretty much was something that wasn't something I was intending to do, but it's something that happened. I wanted that platform to get back into my own skin,
Right.
gaining confidence. And it obviously did that to me. It opened doors. I was pursuing my passion in modeling, working with top designers on the runway. And then I obviously got into commercials after that. And life just picked up from there.
Interesting. I guess this is something which is quite inspirational, I'd say, to a lot of different people, especially the women who are probably at a stage where they probably have kids and they feel that, life's just all around husband, kids. Obviously, family is important, but also it's also an important thing, I feel, to follow your passion and have that individuality where you also are a human end of the day because you also have a dream, you
Yep.
also have a passion, and it's
Yes,
very
we do.
important to pursue it no matter. Always feel it's never late to start.
Never late to start.
Yeah.
That's one thing. If you're dreaming of something, no matter how old you are, do it. I think it's really important. Think about it. Like, what's life? If you're not living up to what you want to live up to,
True.
I tell that to my friends. I tell that to, wherever I am in whatever event I am on, having this kind of platform, what and how,
Yeah.
it just takes your own voice to say, if she can do it, I can do it.
True.
If somebody listening to me today say, I don't know what about this, but it just clicked to me, that's a big, big thing.
True.
Um, unfortunately, that drive for me never came from someone. It came from within me.
Yeah.
Um, I'll tell you a story. So after, like, I'm sure a lot of viewers was listening or going through the similar phase, um, I would say it wasn't a downturn on me, but it was more about looking yourself in the mirror, you know, which I have actually shared that story with New Idea and, Time Week magazines as well when I was actually on the show and I was pretty big and then, I lost a lot of weight and how did it all happen and everything. And if you read that journey, that's my story, just looking at myself in the mirror and seeing who I am now as I'm looking myself in the mirror to what I used to be. That is exactly what I was kind of mentioning before. It breaks you down.
True.
We see ourselves in the mirror all the time. It's our reflection of who we are. So, like I said, I guess you are your own critique,
True.
but you got to make that in a positive way.
Yeah.
So, you just, it's just a voice waiting for you inside of you to say, you can do it. Don't worry about anything. And you know what? Once you have achieved everything, like you said,
Yeah.
when the movie that you're in, it goes all blockbuster, and you're actually, you are
Yeah.
there. You are here. You are. So once you actually put your mind into it and actually do it, people will be like, "Oh, I knew it. I knew you. I believed in you. I knew you could do it."
Yeah.
So people will come around.
True.
People
True.
will come around.
One thing which you said about looking at yourself in the mirror, your own reflection, I personally agree with this a lot because I personally feel no matter what you do, no matter what you do in life, if you look at yourself in the mirror and if you're happy with what you're doing, if you're happy with the image of yourself,
Yeah.
that's more important. If you feel that, you can't look at yourself in your mirror,
Then something
then
is
probably you
wrong.
need to work on yourself.
Yes.
That is what I
100%.
personally
Whether
feel.
it's physically, emotionally, anything that is putting you down or keeping you
Mhm.
high.
One thing I'd like to know from you is when you won that crown, was it sort of like, feel like a validation or responsibility towards yourself?
Yeah, I think so. Like when I saw myself in the crown, I was like excited and relieved at the same time. But of course, being in the public eye, you knew that you are representing something.
Mm.
You're representing a womanhood, or you're representing a beauty queen that
Yeah.
you are, and people are going to be expecting something.
Mm.
So there was a lot of things that was going through me when I saw myself in the crown was, A, what can I do to make an impact now? How can I change, you know, when you win a crown or when you go to beauty pageant, it's like, I'm here to clean the world. No,
Yeah.
it was something that I can actually change.
True. Yeah.
What is that one thing I can do? And what was very close to my heart was working with youth. And, because I was a mother myself, it was like, how can I make this generation people more stronger
Mm.
mentally,
True.
emotionally, and especially Indian kids here who are not
Mm.
connected to their roots so much, or don't have that, space to go back to India and learn how we grew up. So it was just working with them was my main thing,
Right.
and I still to the day do that with my own kids, and
Mhm.
doing it in different ways of now with food, language of food.
Right.
So I have yeah, a lot of things like, with food. I'm trying because we have our own business now, which is into gourmet pies. We're
All
a
right.
pie manufacturer. Having Australian iconic pie
Mhm.
melds with Indian flavors.
Right.
It's like
The
kids.
fusion.
Yeah, it's a fusion. So, and kids love pies and sausage rolls and stuff. So just seeing that in my own house, how kids connect to food,
Right.
that was my purpose, where I want to do something. Of course, it's not um you know a, it's through the language of food that I'm trying to connect the youth to, bringing them back to their roots.
Right.
Kids don't want to sit down and eat khichidis and
Yeah.
rice and curries anymore. They want something easy, up and go.
Right.
So doing that now in our business, where kids are enjoying this, in the school canteens,
All right.
it's
Interesting.
it's kind of takes me back to where my passion started was,
Right.
to connect with you.
Mm.
And somehow I'm doing that.
Nice. Interesting. I guess
Yeah.
that is a very interesting fact. What you're doing right now is because obviously times have changed. People,
Yeah.
kids nowadays, they wouldn't prefer the traditional dishes and all that stuff. But
Mm.
infusing that flavors into the food of
You got to be
this
smart.
stage, that is what you can do. So
Yeah.
probably that's an
Tweaking
interesting
it
fact.
in.
Right. One thing, since we're talking about the food, I'd love to know about the show that you were a part of in Australia. You were a part of the show.
Yeah.
So can you just tell us a bit about that show and how did it
Yeah.
all happen?
After my journey from pageants to acting, working in commercials and working with big brands, obviously, I landed myself in some awesome TV gigs. So in 2020, we filmed Channel 7 Plate of Origin,
Mhm.
which is about food,
Right.
where I was with my husband on the show.
Yeah.
And we were the only contestants on the show who were like couples.
Yeah.
So that show pretty much was about whose country's food is the best. And of
Right.
course, being an Indian, of course, I have to say Indians are the best. So that was being on that mainstream channel. Again, there was a big responsibility of carrying, we representing India.
Mhm.
So that was a big, big, big responsibility, and how people see that,
Right.
through, it's not just about food, it's also about our culture.
Yeah. Representing yourself in the best
Representing,
possible way.
yes, and how to do that. It was again through the flavors of food and having these prestigious, judges that we had. There was no fooling around.
So, did you enjoy the journey, or
Oh,
did it
it
teach you
was
anything?
being a South Asian woman. I think that was the proudest moment for me.
Right.
Representing India, representing our culture and the roots. It was just exciting, and the most exciting was I was with my husband.
Right. Interesting.
So he's listening to this, of course. Um, it was just because again, there's a stereotype or there's myths that men's don't get into kitchen. And here we are breaking those stereotypes and myths that no, if there is a will, there is a way. Men's can.
Yeah, the setting up an example for the young couples probably to just
I hope
probably
so.
do what best. I also feel that cooking together as a wife and husband is also sort of a therapy where you get to spend time together, talk about your day-to-day stuff and
It
all that
depends.
stuff.
It
Yeah.
doesn't always ends up well.
Right.
But with a nice glass of wine and having some good stories
Yeah.
and working through it, I think we can.
Right. Interesting. One thing I'd like to let you know is that I'm not sure if you know about it. We also cross paths.
Oh,
You worked with in Hindi Windi,
yes.
and I shot for that movie because Ali is a dear friend of
Congratulations.
mine. We started the podcast with Ali.
Okay.
That was the first episode.
Oh,
So
yes,
yeah.
yes, I've seen that.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
And he's
So
an amazing, amazing person. Working with him was a delight.
right.
Um, so much vision and so much, you know, um, storytelling skills he
Yeah.
has. It's
True.
crazy. I mean, working just, as Divya in Hindi
Yeah.
was, it's a great role,
Mhm.
but it was just made so beautifully
Right.
that I always tell him that, thanks for giving me that
Absolutely.
opportunity. And there's a lot more I would love to work with him. He's amazing.
True. Absolutely agree with that.
Yeah.
Uh, let's talk about the fact that your journey from India to Australia, because when you came down to Australia, obviously you got to start over all over in Australia
Yes.
because you're moving countries. It's a lot of challenge, obviously, to
Yeah.
start with. How did Australia welcome you, or what were the challenges early in your life moving to Australia?
Australia has always been very good to me. Um, Everybody has their stories, but I was only 10 years old when I moved to Australia.
Mhm.
So obviously, I deeply hold India, like the Indian culture in my roots deeply. But Australia has just always given and given and given. It has not taken. And we're so blessed to be in this country. And I could not even think of better place that we could have migrated to. Um, but Australia has always given everything. There's nothing that I have. It's pretty much home to me
Mm,
because I grew up here.
right.
I was quite
Yeah.
young. I had a very similar stories to everyone who probably came at the same time, which
Yeah.
was back in 1990s, right? There was nothing. Our Indian diaspora was not that much.
Right.
It was so multicultural, not as multicultural as it's now, but whatever it was very welcoming. All I remember challenges wise was as a girl who's only 10 years old, with full of Indian tradition and culture, coming here and getting bullied, you know, by either our accent or just saying things that made Australians feel like we are kind of, bullying me in a
Yeah.
way to pull you
True.
down,
Yeah.
because you have that heavy accent,
Right. True.
because you are
Obviously
South
from
Asian.
South Asian. Yeah.
So those were the challenges, I
Mhm.
think. But then, you grow into it.
Well.
Australia is so welcoming that it actually just kind of, yes, it's rough at the edges,
Yeah.
but when you go in the middle, it's all gooey and chocolatey and it just hugs you. So
Nice.
once you're an Australian, you're an Australian.
Right.
I don't think I can think of going back. Anyway.
Because I feel like, I'm saying it from a perspective of people who probably move in the later stages of life, because it's not about Australia, but any other country where you go to,
Yeah.
when you move in the later stages of your life,
Yeah.
I guess life sort of humbles you in a way, because especially from my perspective, I've come up as a student out here. I came down to Australia probably 8, 9 years ago, started studying. And when you're back home, obviously you just sort of get everything, right? You have the comfort of everything, parents,
Oh, tell me about
food,
it.
everything. So you have the comfort of everything. But when you move out to especially a different country, especially when you don't know anyone, I guess life humbles you in a lot of different ways, because you got to take care of everything by yourself. You've got challenges to take care of yourself. And it depends on person to person, but you don't want to show your emotions, or you don't want to show what you're going through to your parents, because they'll be worried, obviously. So it does bring in a lot of challenges and also humbles you in a lot of different ways. But
Yeah.
again, it depends on person to person. Everyone's got
Yeah.
their own story. So
Yeah.
you can
I think I always had that soft kind of like upbringing.
right, yeah.
Um the challenges wise, it was always something that I was held accountable was I guess my parents have always been broad-minded. They've always been uplifting.
Yeah,
You do what you do,
yeah,
and we are there to support you.
true.
So having that kind of positivity and that kind of strength around you kind of makes you stronger rather than weaker.
Absolutely.
So maybe that's why I don't think it was more about, a soft cocoon kind of a thing, but it was more about you do what you do, and having that strength makes you grounded. And I did not feel that challenges. Um, and being a migrant, being in the family of, you know, um, corporate family, with 9 to 5 job and all. Things are very simple.
Yeah,
Back
very
those
simple.
things were very simple. It wasn't so demanding to what kids have now. Like I need this iPhone, or I need this, whatever.
Yeah,
So I think things were very simple, and they weren't that, where I'm kind of like routing myself out that I need something and I'm fighting and whatsoever. So it's been always very cool and chill. But there was one thing that I was always like, you're an Indian, and you got to carry this pride in
yeah.
you as an Indian with a culture and stuff. Other than that, there was no holding back,
Nice. That is
you
very
know.
nice. Yeah. But also, I
So
guess just like as I said, I feel it varies from person to person, right?
yes,
Obviously, if you would have
yes.
moved at a later stage, probably you would have had your own story. But
Yeah,
because you moved
yeah.
at an early
Moved at an
age,
early
yeah.
stage,
So
so it
probably
was like,
that's
yeah,
different. So,
yeah.
but interesting. I mean, like you've
Mm.
got your own story to
But I'm
say.
sure, like our parents had that
Yeah.
struggle. They had that
True.
challenge,
Yeah.
you know. What we have now is good platforms.
Right.
We have these places we can go and educate our kids
Mm.
about, um, how to be what they want to be, more now.
Right.
Back in that time, they probably had that challenge on how to make sure that our kids have this culture in themselves.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
So I think looking at that time and that era, and where I'm young and they were not so they were young in
Yeah.
comparatively to what we are, like what I'm today. They probably went through the similar challenges of how to make sure that that culture is there, our kids are brought up nicely, because eventually they're going to go back to India. What are all the relatives are going to say, how are they going to be with the cousins, make sure you speak Hindi, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So there were the challenges they probably went through, and that kind of inflected on me as growing up as well, probably, where you have to speak Hindi, you have to know how to write Hindi and all
Yeah.
those. So those were the kind of things that I remember when I was young, that I had to think of.
Right.
That I'm
Not forgetting
speaking
your roots.
yeah, not forgetting your roots and speaking the language and being humble.
Interesting. So one thing I know about you is the fact that you've been quite active in a lot of different sport, representing
Yeah.
a lot of sports and being presenting a lot of sports, being a brand ambassador for a lot of different sports in Australia. So can you just elaborate a bit on that?
Yeah. So, like sportsmanship is a lot about skills, discipline, luck,
Mm.
being there in the right time, in the right place.
Yeah.
So So sportsmanship in general is a lot to do with those four things, four, five things. And where I'm coming from as an actor, you need those things as well. What we've been talking about. Like you do need a skill which you've grown up with. You need luck, as well. How the film's going to do, what's going to go on. So it's like a sportsman winning a championship sort of a thing, right?
Yeah.
So it goes hand in hand. So whenever I am being part of a sports side of things, whether it's cricket, whether it's soccer, with the Women's Asian Cup, for example, that I was part of recently, it just connects me together. It kind of connects being a woman to a woman in that form because we all been through that,
Right.
in the different state, shape and form, but pretty much it's the same underlying thing. So my heart goes out to all the sports that I'm being part of and really take it because it's kind of reflection to what I am doing as well in my own way in the industry. So that's what connects me to sports and endorsing and being part of it. And it's amazing to be affiliated with these brands, being part of that. And there's more to come and
Interesting.
more to go, whatever I can.
Now, since you've been doing a lot of different things, like you are into acting or you're presenting shows or different sort of stuff, how important do you think is family and having a balance?
It's so important to have, first of all, a very loving and supporting family. I think my short answer to balancing um, work and family is exercise.
Right.
For me, exercise is so important, whether it's gym workout or home workout, anything that kind of takes you back to your loved ones. It kind of gives me that space where I'm revived and recharged and be my best version back again so I can give back again. So having those kind of things, like that works for me. And that's how I balance it.
Right.
So, when you're happy and you have your own, recharge mode, then you can give back. And I think that's the act of balancing. So, and a lot that, again, over the years you learn is, it's success or something is not about doing more.
Right.
It's about prioritizing what really matters to you
At that point of time.
at that point of time. And then when you know what success means to you, which everybody has their own way of,
Defining success.
defining it, then you balance things properly as well,
Nice.
isn't it? So it kind of goes hand in hand.
Right. Yeah.
But it's very important to have a supportive family.
One thing, because we're talking about family, we're talking about women finding their own identity, achieving things. Do you think women often tend to lose themselves in relationship,
In relationships, in marriage, we're
in
talking
marriage or
about?
relationship, because they tend to sort of give their everything to the family, whether as a mom, as a wife?
I can go on and on about this, but definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. One word, yes. I think women do lose themselves in relationship. I don't know if it's actually relationship and marriage. If you're talking about, it's about two people, which is a man and a woman.
Right.
But sometimes what happens is it actually goes beyond that. It's actually you can have a supportive husband, you can have a supportive a fiance or a boyfriend, whatsoever. It depends how it goes with you one on one in your relationship. But a lot of time, it's the things other than that influences your marriages, your relationship as well.
Right.
So if it's not just about you two, it could be other things that's going to influence, whether it could be your job, whether it could be your family, your in-laws, or uh, friends, for example. So women do have that tendency to lose themselves because there's so much noise around you that you listen. And again, it's an art on how to close that noise and, see yourself,
Right.
not losing yourself in that. So it's not, it's, it's you preach your own kind of a thing, what works for you
Yeah.
is
Individual
something
to individual.
individual to individual.
Right.
It's still going on. A lot of women are still losing themselves in the relationship.
Yeah.
But you got to find out the answer. Who am I first
Yeah.
before anything else?
Yeah.
You're not a daughter. You're not a wife. You're not a mother. You got to know who you are first. Who am I?
Define your own identity first.
Define your own identity.
Since we're talking about relationships and all that, this is something I feel probably you can answer better. Do you think is love enough or compatibility more important between people?
I'm still learning on that. So we're saying, is love enough or compatibility?
Compatibility more important, or do you think they go hand in hand?
I would say love isn't. It's love.
Mm,
But people, men's, women's are for Venus, men's are for Mars. I think it really depends. I think on each to each. But for me, I think love.
right.
If love is there, I think you can achieve and you can tackle anything there is. Compatibility, yes, I can kind of see they both come hand in hand because you do need each to kind of like this goes there. It's a balancing act.
Right.
But love, I think it's about
That makes you do things.
that makes you do things.
Right. Yeah.
Compatibility, yes, I see it. But then if there is love, then you can kind of say, okay, it doesn't matter. You will kind of subside, you like
Yeah.
put things on side and not really focus on it.
Yeah. You accept
And
the
you'll be like,
person for whatever the
yeah,
person is.
yeah.
Nice.
Just look into each other's eyes and forget and just kind of go for it there.
Interesting.
Very cliche, but it works.
Right. Now, you've been an actor, you've been a beauty queen, and now you're a strong personal brand. How did you reinvent yourself, or did you feel was there a need to reinvent yourself?
There was definitely a need to reinvent myself because, like I said, I'm a person who keeps evolving.
Mm.
Um, it's never linear. You're always intentional. This time it was about reinventing myself because I knew there was something, the passion that started when I got into this industry was to do something.
Right.
Because you're in a public eye all the time, there is always that criticism, there's always that pressure on you that kind of keeps you, in line with it, right?
Right.
So it was like that passion that started to connect somehow to what I'm doing, make it something. So it was very important to reinvent myself. And that's where, starting my own brand and starting my own business on what I'm doing now was really important because that connects me from where I started to where I'm going. It's not traditional, but it's in a form. Like it starts somewhere.
Yeah.
And I'm just a person who gets bored otherwise,
Right.
I love to play with things, invent myself. What is next?
Right.
And that's me. It's like I'm doing this now, but what's going to be next?
Right.
And that's exciting. It's so exciting.
Yeah.
Life is all about excitement.
Right. To just keep it as exciting as possible.
Always
to make
exciting
sure-
about it. Or, it's
Yeah.
fun.
People get driven by different things.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's good. So one thing I would like to ask you this: do you feel that women don't have sort of identity issues, but the society has a problem with evolution of women? Do you believe in that?
Society has always had problems with women evolution, evolving, always. And I wish it stops, but I don't think it's going to happen, at least in my era of being in the world. Um, Especially, again, going back into your traditional and the roots, it's very hard. We are very much in tune that it's a men's world and
Yeah.
it's not a woman's world, which is sad. But a lot is happening. We are changing that now, the dynamics.
Yeah.
I see that first eye when I'm going to these, being part of the, like we were just saying, sportsmen, sport events and stuff. But still, there is talks and discussions about we are not fully supporting women in the things that we are trying to do and change the definition, and which is really sad to see. But I think society does have women will never stop evolving, but world and society and all this stigmatism is going to it stops us from being that. But
But I
we
guess
just
there's
have
some
to
amazing things that are being done by women. I mean, the way things
yes,
are
yeah,
evolving and the amount of big things that are happening in the
yeah,
world at the moment being
yeah,
done by women. So
exactly.
I guess we're moving in the right
We are
direction.
definitely moving mass in the right direction, and I think that's where a lot of times you just have to, keep doing and keep grounded, keep yourself grounded in what you're doing. It's owning the layers of who you are
Right.
and just sticking with it without being unapologetic about it
Right.
and keep doing what you are doing. लोगों का काम है कहना, लोग तो कहेंगे, and you understand that.
Yeah, absolutely.
और क्या कहना है, it's like people are going to say what they're going to say.
You guys just do what
You
you
just got to avoid the noises. You got to block yourself and just keep doing what you're doing, what you're doing best.
Now, related to this, do you think women are conditioned in a way to doubt themselves more than they should? Do you believe in that?
That they doubt themselves more?
Yeah.
100%.
Is it because they conditioned that way, or do you think it's got to
Um,
do with?
no, I think that's just how we're made,
Yeah.
by God.
Yeah.
Women's are complicated. We have standards.
Yeah.
There is obviously, that's why you doubt yourself more, because there's a lot that you expect from yourself. Am I doing this right? Am I looking good? Is my hair okay? Have I got everything properly, dressed up for the event? And these are all these things, and we all do that, all women. And if they're saying I don't do that, I don't agree with that.
Right.
So women in general are made to doubt themselves. They are just tuned in that way that they
Right.
doubt themselves, which is okay, It's kind of creates better version of yourself, man, in a way. Like if you think of it in a positive way, that creates a better version of you.
So we've spoken about a lot of intense things. We've
Yeah.
spoken about a lot of.
Let's tune it down.
So probably this is one section where we do. It's called as a rapid fire section,
Sure.
where we just ask you a couple of choices and you got to answer it rapidly. So let's start up with two of the most important things in your life: acting or the crown,
Acting.
India or Australia,
Oh, India.
fame or freedom,
Freedom.
one myth about beauty pageants,
Fame. Glamour.
one truth about success abroad,
Opportunities are endless.
advice to women starting late.
It's never too late. It's never too late.
Now, you've done amazingly. You're one of the guests that's answered quite rapidly.
Oh, great.
Thank you so much for answering all these questions. Now, we've spoken a lot about different things. One thing I really feel that a lot of people would be inspired by what you've done is you got married, you had kids, but then you never left dreaming about what you want to follow or your passion, whatever it is. If a woman watching this feels she's too late, she's too unsure, or a bit indifferent, or got sort of doubts about herself, what would be the one advice you would give her?
The only thing I would say is trust yourself. If you're thinking on doing something, whether if it's something just small as going, I guess, losing few kilos or starting your own entrepreneurship or something small to something big, it's never too late. Keep believing in yourself, dream big, work hard, be consistent. Those things will really pay you off in a big way.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And what's next for Simran?
Like I said from the start, I'm a person who keeps evolving. So there are definitely a lot of things that I'm looking at it right now. A lot of projects is in the pipeline at the moment, but obviously can't discuss about them. But stay tuned, and it's going to be very exciting.
I probably will invite you over for another episode.
love
Want to do
I would
something.
love to. We'll keep it less intense then.
But I guess, I mean, like you've given some amazing advices to a lot of women watching this, especially to someone that's probably having a sort of identity crisis, I might call, where you just are not sure what to do in life at the moment because you've been occupied with your family and all that stuff. And I guess she's a very good example for that because it's a challenge, obviously. Let's be honest. It's a big challenge to have a family and then probably do things what you've been doing. It's very difficult, I believe, to balance things.
I think what I would like to leave a thought for all the listeners today. I think as a woman, you're doing already so much.
Hmm.
There is nothing that you need to prove anyone.
Right.
Number one, anybody who wants to prove is yourself. I always go with, I'm my own self critique, like I've already said. I am my own person that I am against. I'm not against world. I'm not against my peers. I'm not against anyone. I'm always there rooting for other women, to be honest. I love what us Indian, especially women, are doing. It's all good.
Yeah.
Um, but when I'm thinking about women and, it's mass can be something really small. It could be someone listening right now going through a health issue.
Right.
It could be something that not something with you, who was this successful woman, but now, for whatever reasons, are married and have a family and thinking that they can't get back to what they were.
Right.
Whoever's listening and whoever's on this journey as like I am, don't doubt yourself.
Yeah.
I think the moment you start doubting of can I, would I, and all like, am I too dumb for this or am I too smart? Just anything that comes in your head,
Right.
just stop doubting yourself. The moment you start believing in yourself, which is so easy for people to say, but when you stop doubting yourself, do I have what it takes? That is what is going to make you or break you.
Right.
And like we were saying, what breaks me and what has happened in the past, in my challenges of my career and I think it's just coming back to that point is it's not about anything breaking you. Nobody can break you. It's just you. So get out there, live your life, and just be yourself. Life is on the high note. Glam up, look beautiful as you are,
Yeah.
and just enjoy it.
Absolutely. I agree with what she said because I just remembered a line where I just read in a book where someone just said, a smart person thinks that he's figured out everything about life. He knows what he's doing. But trust me, no one's figured out anything about life.
No way.
We are just going with the flow. We are backing our own instincts and doing stuff.
Yeah.
You never know what life has to offer you.
Yeah. And like, I think what I have been taught and what I have learned from my gurus or people who have, you know, shared anything that I've learned in my life is the moment you think that you have learned everything and you know it all, that's when your downfall starts. So, no, I have still so much to learn.
Yeah.
I have still so much to achieve.
Right.
This is nothing.
Yeah.
So, be in the right company,
It's very important.
is very important.
Yeah.
Be with people, surround yourself with the right guidance, a strong woman, even men's,
Yeah.
anything that can empower you.
True.
Stay away from negativity.
True. Important.
Close
Very
all those
important.
doors.
Yeah.
Just believe in yourself.
So if you're watching this, you've heard what Simran said. Just go out there and do what you feel is something that you want to do. Whether it's going to be a success or failure, that's a later state. But implement what you want to do first, and that's
Trust the
something.
process, enjoy it.
Yeah, and you'll feel good about it once you
You'll
do
feel good
something
about
because
it.
at least you tried
Yeah.
rather than just thinking that you could have failed.
I always go with this one philosophy, and that is anything you do in your life, treat it as like you're going to a gym.
Yeah.
Okay. It's going to be hard the first day, the second day. But the moment after the 45 minutes workout, you will feel like a whole amazing person. So it's all about getting out,
Yeah.
dressing up, showing up for yourself, and just let it go.
Nice. Interesting. Now, this episode wasn't about becoming famous. It's about becoming fearless and was about accepting where you are at the moment and doing things that you're meant to do, not just accept your state at the moment and just go out there and do things what you feel. Because I feel that all the beautiful stories aren't the ones that are perfect. They are the ones that are the real ones because life has ups and downs. So this was an amazing episode with Simran because she shared a lot of beautiful insights about life, beautiful insights about the struggles women go through. And I guess this episode is going to be really important and useful for a lot of women out there, as I said, who are doubting their identity at the moment or probably going through a phase where they're unsure about what they want to do. So thank you so much
Yeah, it'd be my pleasure.
for coming on to the show.
Thank
And as I
you.
said, you're the first female guest. So it's going to be an amazing
And will I be
episode.
back again?
Hopefully, yes. Once you Once you want to come back, we'll probably bring her back and she'll be able to share more insights, a bit more less intense, I believe. And
Oh, sorry
uh,
about that.
yeah. So we'll be back again with a brand new episode. Is there something that you want to say to the audience before we sign off?
You guys are amazing. Thanks for listening. And Maz, you're doing amazing as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's not make it intense and let's finish it in a high note.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys. We'll be back again with another episode of Raw Real Podcast where we'll bring in some more real journeys, real stories. As I said, every story, the beautiful stories are not the ones that are perfect, but the ones that are actually real. So stay real, stay raw. Let's connect back again in the next episode of the Raw and Real Podcast. Take care.